The Fallout TV show has been out for about 3 months now, and after having all that time to sit around and think about it, I can truly say that this show is great so far. This show isn't just a great video game TV show, but just a great TV show in general. I'm always a little wary going into shows and movies based off video games due to the reputation some of them have built up over the years, but this show wafted them away within the first episode. These first 8 episodes do a really good job capturing the world of Fallout. To me, the wasteland in the show was created with the same philosophy as the wasteland in the games. There's objects in odd places that could have been there for decades. There's strange placements only explainable by people who are most likely long gone. The stories of the people of the old world aren't just told by the words they left behind, but by the shadows they left behind. The world is rife of dangers presented by itself and the denizens who dwell in it, whether they be man or beast. Fallout isn't just its wasteland, of course. Its characters also make up an important part of its identity. There are tons of memorable characters in the Fallout franchise. I always see people talking about the dialogue that comes out of these characters' mouths, or people analyzing how deep the writing for some of these characters go. There's a third thing that makes Fallout what it is, in my opinion, and that would have to be unique player experience. As an open world game series, it is very unlikely that 2 people will have the same experience when going through their respective playthroughs. It's not just how each person explores the world, but how they interact with its characters. One person may side with the NCR in the Battle of Hoover Dam, but someone else may decide to buddy up with Yes Man and fight for an independent New Vegas. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Different builds, weapon preferences, choice in companions, radio station picks, becoming favorite among certain communities but shunned by others. All of these are just a few things that make these games what they are in my eyes. But how do you do that in a TV show? There's no player to make choices on how the main character interacts with the world. So how do you accomplish something like that? Obviously you can't expect a TV show to be able to do something like that. A scripted show works differently than an open world video game, which is fine. This doesn't make one better than the other. If anything, it comes down to a matter of someone's preference. Despite this, I think the Fallout show did something really smart in order to capture a similar feeling. This is due to the 3 main characters we're introduced to in episode 1. Each character feels like they encapsulate a type of playstyle some may adopt when they play the games. Lucy demonstrates a newcomer, someone who isn't familiar with the world, as well as someone who has a proficiency in speech, opting for diplomatic solutions to the problems she encounters. Maximus is more of a brute, opting to use force to get himself out of dangerous scenarios. He's a part of a faction that he comes to realize isn't all that he thought it was. The Ghoul is an experienced survivalist who knows the ins and outs of the world, exploring ruins and taking up jobs to rake in some caps. He's got his own main quest, of course, but as he so poetically tells Lucy,
"Thou shalt get sidetracked by bullshit every goddamn time."
These characters do a great job showing how different types of people are treated in the wasteland, but I think they also capture many other things, such as how they play into the idea of differing perspectives. Also, I should mention that if you haven't watched Fallout yet, I highly recommend checking it out before you watch the rest of this video. Not only does this video contain spoilers, but I'm also writing this assuming that you've seen the show and will understand what I'm talking about without too much explanation.
My name is Lucy McLean, and I'm an active contributor to the well-being of my community.
First up, I want to talk about Lucy, technically the first of the 3 characters we're introduced to if you don't count the opening of episode 1. If I had to choose a main character out of these 3, it would definitely be Lucy. She's more of a traditional main character in the way that she lives in a peaceful, ordinary world, if you will, that is thrown upside down due to a tragic incident and must leave her ordinary world to complete a quest. I can see people saying that this is also present in Max and the Ghoul's characters, but I think it's safe to say that it's the most prevalent here in Lucy's case. Lucy is the most relatable of the 3 when it comes to the world of Fallout. The Lucy we're introduced to knows very little of the wastes outside the vault and stands by principles that are taught to kindergartners who will most likely outgrow them sooner than she would.
Do unto others as you'd have done unto you.
She's been taught to defend herself in a variety of ways, but almost always chooses the non-lethal path if given the choice. Lucy is a character that represents us, the viewer. We like to imagine ourselves in the apocalypse as gunslinging badasses willing to kill any man, woman, or beast for the right price. But I think we all need to admit to ourselves that, in reality, we'd all be a lot closer to Lucy than we'd like. Her life in the vault is comfortable, even among other vault dwellers. Her father is the overseer, and though it's not explicitly mentioned, I imagine it comes with a few perks, especially considering who Hank McLean actually turns out to be. Despite how soft she may seem compared to Max and the Ghoul, her strength comes from her determination and stubbornness to see her task to the end.
Vault dwellers are an endangered species here. You come from a world of rules, of laws. This place is indifferent to all of that. I do not think you would be willing to do what it takes to survive up here.
I'm not going back without my dad.
We are meant to put ourselves in her shoes, wandering the wastes and encountering dangers unheard of back at home. Lucy teaches us about the world by being a character that's just as much of a stranger to the wastes as we are. But the thing about Lucy, and the thing that makes her a good character, is that she changes. I know you might all be saying, yeah, no shit, she changes, that's what characters do. But I've seen so many pieces of media that have a character that never changes. And don't give me that shit about catalyst characters in the comments. There's a line between a character that changes other characters and a character that doesn't do anything. I've seen characters that are written to be confident in themselves, but come off as insufferably cocky, only impacting characters by making them look bad. Lucy isn't a catalyst character, but she is stubborn in her ways. She truly thinks that the things she learned in the vault is the best way to live life. The difference between her and other characters that follow a code is that her code constantly fails. Almost every one of her attempts to avoid a shootout ends as such. Even in another vault, she finds that their leader is slightly discriminatory to the dwellers who moved in from the surface, but she doesn't do some bullshit to prove them wrong and make them change their ways. She slowly learns that the wasteland isn't what she was taught it would be, and that she has to adapt in a way that challenges her beliefs. At the end of season 1, she is given the ultimate test of her beliefs, to follow in her father's footsteps and help create the world she was meticulously taught to build, or to go against him after going through hell to find him. Lucy is a character that knew nothing of the wasteland and has to accept that her ways of living won't be enough to survive. She'll have to learn to survive through other means, such as through the Ghoul's lessons. We can see this after she tries to help the Ghouls escape from the Super Duper Mart, but has to kill one of the ones that goes feral anyways. As much as she doesn't want the Ghoul to be right about the wasteland changing her, she won't let the wasteland turn her into him. Where Lucy can be viewed as the kind of character that would be made by a player focusing their resources into speech, Maximus definitely falls more on the shooting side of things. Maximus is a character that is both similar and completely different than Lucy. Like Lucy, Maximus is part of a group, the Brotherhood of Steel, who have their own morals and ideas about how the wasteland should be governed. However, Lucy and Max's biggest differences come from their upbringing. Lucy was raised in the safety of the vault, brought up to eventually reclaim the surface and inject the world with Vault Tech's management philosophy. Max wants nothing more than to climb the ranks of the Brotherhood and fight the good fight against the technology of yesterday. Lucy and Max come from two completely different worlds, but the outcome of their upbringings are the same. They are both ignorant of the idea that other ways of living exist. As stated before, Lucy needs to learn how to survive the waste by understanding that her ideas of talking before shooting isn't always going to cut it. Maximus only knows the wastes, the tragedies that can befall a person in the blink of an eye, to always be on guard. Max understands the world to be a place that leaves little room for rest and relaxation. His time in a vault is comical. It's here where Lucy and Maximus's roles are swapped. Lucy is now the expert while Max learns what it means to live comfortably in this new world. I think this moment is great for these characters, by the way. Before, Lucy is made out to be a bit delusional of the ways of the wastes. I can definitely see people being frustrated with her when she attempts to defuse situations peacefully, only to be met with resistance. Max is the same as her when he learns about vault life. It's meant to be frustrating as well when we see him watching TV, oblivious to the danger that Lucy is in. His way of solving problems also differs from Lucy's. Max isn't about shooting first and asking questions later, but that doesn't mean there won't be a fight. He always seems to end up in a scrap, but it's what he comes to expect. Lucy and Max are two sides of the same coin in my opinion. These two characters have been brought up differently, but have similar experiences when stepping into each other's worlds. Their skill sets and ways of doing things may differ, but at their core, they are very similar.
Well, you know what they say. Us cowpokes. We take it as it comes.
The Ghoul is a character with a very unique perspective of the world compared to Lucy and Maximus. He is the only one out of the three of them that knows firsthand what the world was like before the bombs went off. The Ghoul is the person most people would want to be in a post-apocalyptic setting. A mercenary whose wit is as fast as their gunslinging. The Ghoul is, in my opinion, a fusion of Lucy and Max's best qualities. He understands the ways of both of their worlds. He is an expert in navigating the wasteland and interacting with its inhabitants, but also remembers how things used to be. How there was once a time where he was able to sit in a hot tub with his wife, talking about moving to a farm. It's in this regard that the Ghoul completes a kind of trinity of world perspective. Lucy knew nothing of the wasteland, Maximus knew nothing but the wasteland, and now we have the Ghoul who knows both the world before and after the bombs. The way he deals with people is very nuanced. He can kill without hesitation, but that doesn't always mean it's something he enjoys doing. He will kill an entire town if they get between him and his target, but he will also kill out of mercy if it means saving a fellow Ghoul from turning feral. The Ghoul is also unique in the way that he is closely related to Vault Vault-Tec and their plans. He's one of the few people outside Vault-Tec employees that knows the truth behind why the vaults were built and their plans for the future. The Ghoul has his own personal motives for surviving the wasteland, which is similar in Lucy's goal in Season 1, which is to find lost family. Actually, it's kind of funny, by the end of Season 1, Lucy and the Ghoul's goals become the same as they both end up needing to track down Hank. In the beginning, I said that having 3 main characters is a great way to incorporate how the games have many different ways to play them. I think that it's more important to understand that a TV show and a video game are 2 completely different mediums. If you go into a TV or movie adaptation of a game expecting it to be the game, you will most likely be sorely disappointed. I think the best adaptations are the ones that don't necessarily try to do everything that the games do, but instead respects the source material while also incorporating fresh ideas. The 3 main characters of Fallout do this job very nicely. They capture different player experiences while having their own independent, unique identities. They see the world in different ways because of the experiences they've gone through. All in all, these characters are great, and they make up the better part of what I consider an amazing show. If you ignored my warning at the beginning and still haven't seen the show, you're missing out. See ya.